The following is an Encore Flip Your Marketing Flops Micro Summit interview. Warning: although we make our best efforts to provide the latest information, due to the ever-changing nature of the digital marketing industry, some information in this interview may be subject to change. Want to know how to make your website get more visitors? What if you can easily do it for free? Would you like to learn the 5 easy do-it-yourself ways to make your website more visible? If you can use a computer or a cell phone, then you can make your website more visible for free. Today, we're going to explore 5 very easy ways to make your website more visible even on a shoestring budget. Stay tuned for SEO Unlocked, how to simplify lead generation in 2025, right here on Flip Your Marketing Flops. I'm your host, Joe Sales Jr. Welcome to Flip Your Marketing Flops, the digital marketing and lead generation podcast. I'm your host, Joe Sales Jr., and this month's theme is organic marketing. This episode is an encore presentation I did back in 2021 on the Flip Your Marketing Flops Micro Summit number 2. Today's episode is SEO with a focus on local SEO. This is part 1 of a 2-part presentation on local SEO. Do you remember the day your first website went live and then all you heard was nothing but crickets? Everyone told you needed a website, right? But this was not what you had in mind. That's because what they didn't tell you is that your website is just a platform on the internet. It's just like an unsold house on your street. If no one tells you that the house is for sale and there's no sign at the house, then no one will come to look at it. In the same way, if you don't let the search engines know that your website is live online, then no one's going to find it. So in this episode, I will be teaching you about SEO. What is SEO? It stands for Search Engine Optimization, and it is the way that search engines like Google find your website online. So let's learn how you can easily make the search engines aware of your site by avoiding 5 mistakes that, to be quite frank, you can easily avoid by doing these things yourself.
Before I get started talking with you about local SEO, I want to show you an example of what you can do when you work on your local SEO. Have a look at this short video. Now, this video is for my very first digital marketing client with my agency. I worked with this client back in 2016, and he had a website that was already in existence, but what I decided to do for him is show him how I could help him as a digital marketer. And the very first thing I did was I looked at his website and I realized he needed to have some work done on it from an SEO perspective. So I set out to do the SEO, and these are the results. These results are not the same kind of results that everybody's going to get, but if your situation is right and you do the right amount of work and you do the right things, these could be results that you can possibly have. Again, the situation varies for everyone. It's not exactly going to be the same for everybody. So let's get started talking about local SEO. Local SEO is really divided into 2 sections that I'll talk about. The first section is what I call on-page SEO. The second section is what I call off-page SEO. The off-page SEO can be construed in many different ways. I'll talk about the most specific and easiest ones that are going to be based on working with the local search engines. When it comes to digital marketing, more specifically to local SEO, there are several mistakes that business owners make. And the biggest mistake is not knowing anything about search engine optimization. So I'm going to cover that here towards the end of today's talk. But the first thing I want to talk about is one of the mistakes that you can easily avoid is by making sure that you do the minimal work for SEO. And there's 2 ways that you want to focus on things. First is the SEO that needs to be done on your website. This is SEO that is going to be almost a set it and forget it, pretty much a one-time thing. You might need to go back in and check. I'm not talking about the high-tech, really detailed SEO tactics. I'm talking about the most generic, easiest for you to do work. And that starts with working on the website and making sure that the metadata is put into your landing pages or put into your website pages. Mistake number one is not completing the SEO section of your website. Now, I'm going to give you an example here. You can take a look at these websites. We have here WordPress, Weebly, Wix, Kartra, and Groove Pages. And with each one of these websites, there's slightly different places that you have to go in and be able to put this work. The bottom line is you have to do similar types of things on every website. And that is basically put the information you want known about your website so that Google, Bing, and other search engines can turn around and find the information about your website and know to serve that information to others when they're doing a Google search. With mistake number one, the metadata that you need to put in on your website is pretty basic. If you're working with a WordPress website, you're probably going to want to put on your website a plugin like Yoast SEO. There are other ones, but Yoast SEO is very easy to use, very useful, and it works very well. And what Yoast will do is it will ask you for a page title, it will ask you for a page description, and it's still going to ask you for keywords. But with Yoast SEO, what I like about it and why it's where I like to start this presentation or start discussing is because Yoast SEO recommends Google's best practices. Basically, what it does is it limits you to a specific number of characters for your title. It limits you to a specific number of characters in your description. And if you keep within those parameters, you're going to be exactly where you need and have the right detail that Google is going to be looking for, or Bing or other search engines are going to be looking for when they come to your website. Moving along, mistake number two is not using local-based SEO keywords. One of the best things you can do for your website is you can make sure that you are targeting your website for the area that you live in, or the area where you're prospecting, or the area where you are serving your clients or your customers. In doing so, you're not going to get lost in the competition that's out there. Instead, you're going to be showing up for what is most important to your local clients and your local prospects. Now, Google has gotten really smart over the years, and so has Bing. And they've gotten smart in the fact that they have semantic search, and so they understand what your meanings, what the sentences you're putting in there are, or the words you're putting in there, how they work together, and their basis. But the point of this is that if you put the words you want to rank for in there and the cities you want to rank for, Google's going to find that and look for those first. Another thing is, in doing so, if you have location-based keywords in your website, then when you look for a search like, say, Taekwondo near me, as an example, it's going to identify that you've used the keywords for the locations in your area, and it'll serve that near me search to anybody in the area looking for that particular base keyword. That's a topic for another time. The biggest thing I can tell you is that as you do your keywords, if your keywords are real estate agent, or if it's Taekwondo or dance studio or whatever, make sure you're putting where you are. I live in a city of Las Vegas where there's not very many suburbs, so you're going to want to make more specifically area-based keywords like Summerlin, like the North End, like the Southwest, and use phrases like that along with your keyword. Another thing that you can do that I find is a mistake is not using SEO-based keywords based on the words that Google offers. When Google is served up with a query, what it does is it also suggests possible words. And so what I want to do is I want to take you here to a page where you can see some of those offerings. And the key to this is that you want to capture some of these words and possibly capitalize on these words by having them built into your page on your website, which is something we'll talk about here in a minute. Okay, let me share the screen here while we are doing this. So right now what I want to talk about is the mistake number 3, I believe it was, and that is not using the keywords that are suggested to you by when you type into Google for your search query. So if we were to put in dance into the Google bar, as you see, as we type letters in, let me back up a step. As we start typing letters in, it will start looking for things that you might possibly be looking for. And as I add more and more letters, it'll be closer and closer to what you might be looking for. So at this stage, if I put a C there now, and I was looking for dance classes, you're going to see that it's going to serve up Las Vegas near me, Las Vegas, classes near me, clubs near me, connection, costumes, and things of that nature. If I put in dance studio near me, you're going to see that it's going to give you all these other suggestions. And the purpose of what I'm describing here is you want to grab whichever of these keywords applies specifically to your business, and you want to use those keywords on your page. So be sure to take a moment to pull these keywords down, to write them, to make a list of them. You can actually search for them in free search tools on the internet. But I'll just say, go in there, put a couple of words in there that are close to your actual keywords that you prioritize. And when I say keywords, I mean keyword phrases, the most important words that describe your business or your offerings or your solutions. Identify what those are and make a short list. And you don't have to have a long list. The list can be as long as 5 or 6 words if you want. But you want to have those, know what Google might search for, because if Google's already serving it, that means that Google has identified those as popular searches, and those searches can help you be seen more easily. So you take those words. And then what you might want to do is take words that are from that list and take the words from your local SEO based words, and you want to put those onto your website. But that's mistake number 5. I actually have a mistake number 4 that I want to talk about first. Mistake number 4 is called not using alt tags. Whenever you have a page on a website, most people will have images. The problem about an image is an image loads slower than the actual page itself. So oftentimes what happens is the page loads up and then there's a spot where your image is supposed to be. Now, you've probably seen on some websites where there's just like a little icon or something and you can't tell what it is about. And other times you're going to see that icon with a word underneath it, and the word will describe what's in the picture. And then a split second or two later, the website comes up and you can see that picture now. The words that were served before that picture was visible are called your alt tags. Whenever you put an image on a website, somewhere you're going to have the opportunity while you're doing the image to describe the image. You want to describe the image as closely as you can, if possible, using some of the keyword phrasing or the keywords that you're using on your website, that you're using on your page, and use that in your alt tag. Because what Google does is it identifies all the text that's on your page as an alt tag. It has a code with it. That code tells Google that picture is going to be about whatever the word is. If that word has the keyword in it, Google's looking to see what is in the pictures on the page. It looks at what's on the page, what the words are on the page, what the pictures are on the page, and it looks for all of that in code. The Google algorithm that you might hear about from time to time, or the search engine algorithm, because I say Google's 65-70% of the searches on the internet. That's just a fact. Bing handles almost the other 30%. And then there's various other places that handle it. The point being that they all use the same basic information to know what to serve on the website. With this being said, the ideal thing is to be able to offer the search engines the kinds of information they're looking for. And I can tell you specifically, they want to see that you're doing things for the people who are impaired by different ways. For instance, if you're visually impaired, you're usually going to have something with your computer that's going to be able to read things on the page. It will read that alt tag for that image and tell you what's actually in that image. Just the same as for a sound that's missing, there's closed captioning where they will read the words of what's being voiced. For visually impaired, alt tags do the same thing. It allows people who are visually impaired to be able to know what's in the images that they're missing. Mistake number 5 in the section about on-page SEO, I've already kind of touched, and I want to go back and just point it out even more. When you build your web page, the content that's on your page, the words that are on your page are specifically going to relate to the information that you want the reader to know. And your keywords are likely going to be accidentally interwoven onto the text on the page. But for an SEO or for people that are building websites, if you want it to work even better for you, you want to make sure that you're using the same keywords that you've identified in your meta description and in your title at the beginning of building your web page. You want to make sure those keywords are laced into the text on your page. And the most important places for those keywords to be laced into the page are in the first header on the page, which is your biggest header, your H1. Your most important keyword needs to be laced into the page title and your H1 header on your page. By doing this, Google says, okay, this page is about dance. And so there's got to be the word dance in the title on the page. And then they're going to look for the header that describes the page. That header on the page should have that keyword in it. So it should say dance somewhere in that header. And then in the first paragraph on the page, the first paragraph in the first sentence, you should have the keyword repeated again. So it's a little bit of a repetitive process. So in summary, when we talk about on-page SEO for local SEO purposes, the mistakes that we're seeing are people not completing the SEO section of their website. We're seeing them not using locally based keywords or locally based words that describe where they are and their location for their business. We're seeing mistakes where businesses are not using the suggested keywords that Google offers up that are going to be very valuable because Google already is aware of those and is already searching for those keywords. And so it's important to use those. Mistake number 4 was we are seeing too many businesses making the mistake of not using alt tags. And the 5th mistake is that businesses are not using the keywords that they want their business to rank for within the text on their page. Now, all of these on-page SEO issues are easy fixes that you can do yourself. You don't have to go looking far to figure out how to do these things. If you do need help, that's one of the kinds of things a business like mine that runs a digital marketing company, we do this as a service for everyone. Whenever I build a website, as an example, and whenever my company builds a website, the thing that we do is we add the on-page SEO to the build of our websites because it doesn't make sense to build a website and leave all the on-page SEO alone. And yet we've seen time and time again where businesses or website builders have built websites without doing the on-page SEO. That's the easiest part of the SEO process, is getting the work done on the page.
I'm your host, Joe Sales Jr., and this has been part 1 of a 2-part discussion about local SEO. In next week's episode, we will focus on the first stages of off-page SEO that you must put into place and what you need to do to dominate your local competition with local SEO. So, I look forward to seeing you next week. Get involved with the show. There are many ways to do so. You can email me here at the show. Just use joe@flipyourmarketingflops.com. If you enjoy the content on this channel, let me know. If you have a digital marketing topic you would like to know more about, tell me about it. And if there is someone you think I should have on the show, just give me their name. You are crucial to the success of this show, just as I want to be helpful in the success of your business, and I want to give you information you want to know about. So be sure to subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and comment below. Remember, every marketing flop is just a lesson waiting to be flipped.